Hello, Taki traders. Welcome to the 18th of January. Today we are looking at the precious metals and some of the movements and trading opportunities that are persisting through these today. A bit of a technical analysis looking at them. First of all, we're checking out gold. Gold's come off its high, sort of around that 1345 mark. It sort of bounced off that. Now it's come back down to this level around this sort of 1325 and sort of been bouncing around here. This is on the 4 hour. I really think that it needs to get over this 1330 mark for a sort of a reasonable expectation that it's going to continue back up on the uptrend. The US dollar's increasing now, putting a bit of pressure on gold. So with this, you can see my trend lines there as well. I'm expecting sort of this sort of downward trajectory, and I mean, once it gets to 1320, that's when I'm going to worry if that's where the bounce will be. Nothing's guaranteed, but to me, I tend to see this continued selling pressure for the moment down to that level. So I'm overly short on gold at the moment, but not by a long way. And on top of that, if I was longing it, I'd probably just wait just to see which way this market's going to go. I need more confidence before longing it and shorting it as well. I just sort of feel like at the moment it's deciding what it wants to do. On the Palladium, now Palladium's had that massive rally due to the supply deficit out of with South Africa and Russia controlling 80% of the market. They've obviously made quite decent amounts of money with this supply deficit. Now it has come off like gold again with the dollar, and also too it just reached a huge a rally point as well there, 1135, which was, you could see that it just obviously the technical point there at 1132 of resistance, and then from there it's refused and bounced down, or pretty much bounced off this sort of fib line here at 1091. I had a trend line here. It actually broke this today. So for me, if it was going to continue back up, it would need to stay within this range. It's broke down. You can see even that nice big wick there. I was watching it just before the video started, actually, that it did seem like it was going to rally, and then it's refused again. And I think the more it refuses at this fib level here of 1111, where it has, before, that's where I see a breakdown back to this range. I don't see Palladium lower than 1091. Always a possibility. You do have this support back here, but that's an extreme breakdown. To me, it's looking around this area. So shorting at the moment, I'd feel quite comfortable with, seeing that it is outside of my trend lines there, knowing that the US dollar is rising as well. But at the same time, this could just be a consolidation phase. Really, no one's too sure just how much this supply deficit is going to affect it. There's still people that believe that Palladium will end up getting in 2018 up towards, the 1200, 1300 plus sort of thing. So that's going to depend on a number of factors. Certainly the supply demand, but also what happens with the US dollar. If it continues to be weak and people look for other havens, then certainly a stronger dollar may offset the supply deficit a little bit further. And then if we go on to platinum, now Platinum sort of followed the Palladium trend, and it's pulled it up. You can see I've actually put the 4 hour right to the start of the year. And the end of last year I had a huge buy on platinum. It was further back more, it was under $900. It was like $890, and that was a massive buy for me. So obviously if you bought in then and you held out, done quite well. Now with this as well, you can see my trend line there. So on the 4 hour I'm still up, but it is at the bottom of the trend line, and that's what concerns me a little bit about getting too invested in a long position on platinum. I actually do have a short position on this at the moment, that's sitting about break even. So for me, again, you can see that it's bounced off. That's my little 1 hour Fibonacci within that. So you can see that it's bouncing off the 1 hour, but also resisting. We'll go to the 1 hour on this. It's just a bit hard because it's had such a massive rally. It's hard to fit it all in. Okay, so just give me a moment to set this one up so we can fully have a proper look what's going on the 1 hour. And I'll make a mess of my chart again. Okay. So you can see here very clear there's that support there on the 1 hour, back here as well. I won't draw a line, but you can see that around that 997 is that support. So psychologically you could probably argue that even though it's 997 there, psychologically it's 1,000, that it comes under, it goes down the 1,000 and the buyers come back in to try and keep it above that. So even though my support level there is 1,000, I really think that if it does bounce, we're looking back possibly to 992, but again, that would be um, a more extreme sell-off. But certainly, if you are shorting it back to that 996, 995 is probably a good take profit. The thing is, it is still, even though it's at the bottom of that trend line for me, it is still keeping to that trend line upwards. Keep in mind as well that palladium and platinum obviously related. If palladium does falter, as I was just saying before, expect to see platinum come off the boil as well. But even at the moment, you can see in this 1 hour, it's got quite a good 1 hour chart there. If this for me had actually burst under here and tried another hit at that 996, that's where I would have expected to hit 995. And things like this, for me, I'm not too bothered. I'm short on this at the moment. If I'm a little bit down, this is why you only use a little bit of equity per trade. Ride it out. I do see over the next week, at some point, I think that burst under that $1,000 mark. If the US dollar keeps up, if the US dollar starts weakening again, there's all chances that platinum could actually really get up, and it needs to get past this sort of for this. So 10.007. If it can get past that, that's when it's a reasonable amount of upside, depending on what Palladium does and depending on the US dollar. So there's some ideas for you. As always, watch your capital and equity management. If you have any questions, see us on Twitter at Taki Traders. And other than that, good trading.